Okay, let's talk about the order of operations. Now, this is important to know for some of the formula stuff we're going to do later on in the quarter, and for when you're dealing with multiple operations, so that you know the correct order and how to break it down. Because I hear this all the time, why do I need to do this if the calculator does it for me? And to an extent that's true, but if you know how the calculator is going to break it down, it makes you that much better, okay? Now, the classic way of doing order of operations, or the classic acronym everyone says, I have written right here, PEMDAS, okay? That's the way people always remember it, where P stands for parentheses, E stands for exponents, M multiply, D divide, A add, and S subtract, okay? So, that's a really helpful acronym to help you remember it. Let's get a little more in depth with this stuff here. So parentheses, that could be these, maybe brackets, or a square root sign, which we'll deal with later in the quarter. An exponent, draw that over here, is something like 2 to the third, where 3 is the actual exponent. Everyone knows multiply, divide, add, and subtract. Those are your basic operations. The only thing I'd add with these is think of multiplication and division as a group, and addition and subtraction as a group. With multiplication division, you do whichever, let me write that a little better there. Do what comes first, okay? So when you look at these, if multiplication comes first, do multiplication. But if division comes first, do division first. Same with addition and subtraction. If you have the signs right next to each other, you do which one comes first. Let me give you a quick example of that, then we'll break down a couple problems here. So, like, what I'm talking about is, like, say we had 36 divided by 3 times 10, okay? So, if you followed the conventional sense of order of operations, people would say, oh, the M comes before the D in the acronym, so I must do multiplication first. But the rule we should know is that since division comes first in this group, we do division. So you do 36 divided by 3, which is 12. We didn't use the times 10, so we bring that down. Then we do 12 times 10, which is 120, which is the correct answer. Whereas if you were to plug this in your calculator, this is the answer it's going to spit out, okay? But if you do it the wrong way, so again, I want to iterate, this is wrong for people who look at that like, well, I did it like you said, but no, remember, wrong, okay? So if you take the same problem, 36 divided by 3 times by 10, we do the same problem. If I do it out of order, if I do 3 times 10, which is 30, and then I take 36, and I divide that, okay, I do 36 divided by 30, that gives me, like, I think 1.2 if I remember correctly. Let me pull out my calculator here to see if that's right. Let's see. Let's do 36 divided by 30, yeah, 1.2. Okay, so my basic math skills are still there. But we look at this, we have two drastically different answers, okay? So that's why we need to make sure we adhere to this rule, is if you have multiplication division in the same group, you do whichever comes first, okay? But when you're working with these problems, it's pretty simple. It's just remembering the rules. So let's get a clean example here. Erase this, that off of there. Okay, so we'll start off simple, then we'll work our way up the chain. So like let's say I had 2 plus 8 times by 6. Okay, so we look at this one. When you're going through these, you kind of want to do the same thing, just kind of work your way down the chain. Ask yourself, are there parentheses? No. Do we have any exponents? No. And just a hint, you won't see any exponents in this module. That's coming down the pipe. Do we have multiplication? Yes, so I do that. Okay, so we do 8 times 6, which gives me 48. Then we add the 2 to that. 2 plus 48 gives me 50. Okay, so you notice it's kind of a funneling down to a single answer here. And if you're working these out on paper, this is how you want to do it. Like, I'm always a big advocate for taking it a step at a time and trying to get the math down. Too many people just kind of try to cram as much work as they can into one piece of paper. and they don't actually understand what they're doing, or if they mess something up, they don't know how to fix it. Okay, so if you're working these on paper, just take it one step at a time. Just write it down. Okay, let's try another example here. Let's throw some parentheses in there. Let's up the ante a little bit. Let's do 8. Ooh, I don't know what that was. Try again. Let's do 8 plus 3 times parentheses 9 minus 4. Okay, so let's see. So obviously we're going to do the parentheses first. Okay, now remember, a lot of people would be tempted to do the 8 plus 3 at the same time, but because of this time sign right here, you can't do it. So let's do the 9 minus 4. Let's see, that gives me 5. And we need the time, so bring that down. So times 3, and then plus 8. And then if you notice, we're kind of right back to this situation. And with math, that's kind of a reoccurring thing, is it repeats a lot. Okay, so now we do the multiplication first. So we do, let's see, that gives me 15. Add the 8 to that. 8 plus 15 gives me 23. Even though it doesn't look like a 2 too much, but that is a 2. 23. Okay, so when you're looking at this stuff, I mean, again, see, it kind of funnels down to a single answer there. It's just really taking this stuff step by step. Okay, if you really want to master this stuff and learn how to troubleshoot it, you really got to break it down step by step. Just a couple more examples here, or problems you might see later on down the road. I wanted to do kind of some weirder examples, or show you some tricks here. Get some more space. Okay. So let's say we have, let's see, 24 divided by 8 minus 14 divided by 7 plus 8 times 6. Okay, so when you look at this one thing you can do here is, if you need to change, or if you notice all these divisions and multiplications are kind of paired off in twos, so one thing you can do is you can add parentheses. Because when people see the parentheses in these order of operations problems, they tend to gravitate towards those. Okay, and it can be one of those things, a good visual tool to help you realize, okay, I can do all 3 of these at once. So we do 24 divided by 8, which is 3. Okay, minus 14 divided by 7, that gives me a 2, plus 8 times 6, which is 48. So again, we have another rule here. I know addition comes before subtraction in the acronym, but since subtraction is first, we do that first. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Plus 48, 1 plus 48, that gives me answer of 49. Okay, so when you're working with these, again, it's just take them at your own speed. If you're one of those people that are fortunate and can do all this stuff at once, more power to you. If you're like me, you need to take your time and take it step by step, that's fine. Okay, let's take a look at one more here, just to be safe, because I want to make sure I cover all my bases here. Let's do something ridiculous. Here's a good one. Let's do 6 plus 12 times 4. Let's divide that by 15 minus 3 times 2. Okay, so when you look at this one, when you're working with this stuff, just remember, when you're working with this stuff, that you need to, remember the fraction bar means divide, but again, we can add parentheses here. Here's what a math book showed me one time, and it's a pretty good step, is you can put these in parentheses. You don't have to, but just remember, you got to simplify everything on top first before you simplify, and simplify everything on the bottom before you divide. So we do the multiplication first. Let's see, this becomes 48 plus 6 over, let's see, 3 times 2 is 6, and minus 15. So we still have to do the minus. So I'm going to write it over here because I'm running out of space. That gives me 54 over 9. Then the last thing we do is divide. 54 divided by 9 is 6. Okay, so when you're looking at these order of operations problems, just remember the simple acronym PEMDAS shows you how to break all this stuff down. And just remembering, taking it step by step, and taking it step by step, and writing things down. That's how you get the stuff down. Okay. So we'll deal with some more of this stuff later on in the quarter in our coursework when we're dealing with formulas, and we're going to add in the exponents and square root stuff later. So that's coming down the pipe. Just be patient. I know you can hardly contain your excitement, but this order of operations stuff, this is really, really important stuff.